Yeah, my name is Nigel. I'm also from the Center AI Academy, and today we will share with you also about the Immersive Web SDK and also the Spatial Editor, which you already saw a lot at Rick's presentation. And the good news is that you can use it also in the Web SDK, which was just recently also improved and shared by Meta itself. And yeah, why should I use IW SDK or the Spatial SDK? Is there differences? Do I need to make it use case dependent? Does it have effects on my performance? And yeah, there's really some important differences between that. For example, the Spatial SDK, like you saw it before, you should probably use for high performance applications where you maybe also need deeper access maybe to the hardware itself. Probably a lot if you want to run AI directly on device right now. It will maybe also at some point be possible in IWSDK. But yeah, if you really need this deep access, probably the Spatial SDK is the better choice. Um, yeah, and on the other side, we have the IWSDK, which is like a really lightweight type of developing applications because you can use the already established inter or way of developing for the web. You don't need to install applications. It's partly cross-platform. Just right now, these standards are not so well supported by all providers. So I was just putting a small star here to not forget to mention that. But that's overall the goal, having these web applications so that you can access them from any device. And yeah, it's also great for people who maybe are already used to develop for the web to bring their skills into yeah, this spatial experiences. Yeah, that's what we'll share today. What does IWSDK offer? Uh, there's several features. It's basically having the same architecture or way of programming, which Vic also shared already, the entity component systems. You can use inputs from your controllers or hands. There's locomotion available. You can move in any way possible, and it's really easy to access these functionalities. Grabbing interactions, hand interactions. There's even spatial audio already available, so three-dimensional sounds, which are already automatically supported. You can also implement physics, probably not as performant as maybe as a native application itself, but for probably small games, it will be definitely a great way of using it. It also has scene understanding, scanning your entire room. They also have this new user interface, the spatial UI, and yeah, it's also really easy to implement new assets. I will show you all of that soon. And yeah, there's a lot of developer tools available. And what I really can recommend is this actually QR code over here because it's the link to the official documentation of it from Meta. And actually, it's quite good organized, structured, and basically you could just go through the entire documentation and will be able to set up probably your first project also in a couple of minutes, and it's directly running. So the IWSDK, I need to first mention it's built on top of Three.js, which is like a really famous JavaScript library for 3D rendering. And what is maybe important is that they use like this specific system of defining 3D objects. It means that every 3D object basically has a geometry, material, a mesh, and a 3D object. And yeah, a mesh, for example, would combine the shape and the material for the object, while the object itself is object 3D itself is the base class for position, rotation, etc. So just that as a short background to Three.js before we go too much into it and exactly. So how would we in theory set it up? What you basically need is a Node.js. I will show you that also in some seconds. A higher version than 20.19. You need a modern web browser, which probably most of you already have. Maybe you will need some command line basics, but it's also just a couple of commands. So I can, you will probably be able to already know them after this video. And yeah, it's basically everything based on JavaScript or TypeScript, depending on what you prefer. So you maybe should bring some knowledge, but don't worry, you can also learning it by doing. It's not that complicated, especially with the tools which are provided here. And I put the headset itself here in the optional part because the WebSDK is you can use it directly in the web browser on your notebook as well, for example. So yeah, you in theory you don't need a headset for testing, although I would definitely also suggest you to use it to have this real feeling. Exactly. So just as a short background, what is Node.js and what does it have to do with this NPM? So Node.js itself is a one-time environment for running JavaScript applications in the backend, which means not on the client itself, like the web browser on your laptop or the MetaQuest itself. Usually it's running on the server, which is somewhere else. But yeah, there's a lot of packages which also provide front-end content to the end device, the client which is calling it. So that's what basically will happen here. And additional, there's another service which I just introduced now. It's the Node Package Manager. And it's basically the package manager, which is managing all the packages which you need for your project. It also is like a really established yeah, provider application in web development. You can see on the right side, they provide more than 2 million packages. And overall, there was more than 17 million developers participating in some way to provide packages there. So it's a really big and important provider. And that's quite good to be able also to rely on that in your projects. So yeah. So now we will set it up. You can see it's looking quite similar to the scene which Rick had. And we will just go through the process one time how to set this up. First, you would need to install, like I said, the Node.js and NPM environment. And for that, you can open the site, nodejs.org. And first, what you would see on the top here, it's the applications you would normally run on a server. So that's why you can choose here between Docker, where you can run it on a server, or you download it down here, where you can download it for Windows or Mac, which you can just directly install them. And if that was working, you can go to your development IDE or just to a terminal, which is here PowerShell, and you can test if it was installed successfully. I already did that by asking npm -- version. Now you see it, so I installed Node.js and it automatically also installed the npm. And I can also say node -- version. And I see I got the version 22.19. If we watch back in the slides, we can see we needed at least version 20. So we already fulfilled that part. And yeah, that's from how we can get started. And the next part now would be, it's really, really simple. We basically need now to create a new project using this Node package manager. It's really easy to set up. So we say npm create, and then we say add IWSDK, add latest, because we want the newest version, and we just accept it. And you see now he starts already asking me questions here. So first you want to have a name for the project. So I will just call it test. And I can choose here using just the buttons on my keyboard between TypeScript or JavaScript. For myself, I prefer to use TypeScript to have the typing. So I choose TypeScript here. Then he already asked you what type of experience you want to build. Actually, it doesn't matter in general. You can change that also manually later again. But if you already know that and you want to save some time later, you can choose it here. So I will first start with making a virtual reality application. And then he's asking if you want to enable hand tracking. It can be required, it can be optional. I would recommend you to use optional because there will be this web application which is running on your laptop as well. And it's a simulator. You can try out the application on your laptop. And if you say hand tracking should be required, then this is actually not always working for me. So optional is the better choice here maybe. Yeah, for enable WebXR layers, I recommend to use required because it's a performance setting and it just gives you advantages. So you should not choose something else as long you have some really strong opinion about it, knowing why you want to choose a different. Then we ask if you want to use locomotion for moving around in your environment. I would say yes. He asked if you want to put this locomotion on the extra worker, which is like they say for performance. So we accept it. We want to have nice performance. Do we want to enable grabbing to put items from place A to B in our application? Yes, that's always great. And she's also asking if you want to activate physics with a Havoc engine. So we can actually choose if we want to implement it or not. I choose no here now. In theory, you can do that. Just have in mind also if you don't really use it, maybe it's just putting overhead on your project and makes maybe less performant. And yeah, like I already mentioned, like in the Spatial SDK, this one is also offering to use the Meta Spatial Editor, which I already have open here. You can use it, you don't need to use it. I would say I don't use it for now. I can change that later as well. And he also offers me to automatically create a GitHub repository. I don't want to do that right now. And if he should install all the dependencies already now or later, I would just say no here as well, because I want to do that manually after showing you a bit how that is working. So now you can see he was creating this new folder here. which is named like the project itself. It's test. And he created a lot of folders and files in here. And I will also change in my terminal over here into this test folder. And you can see all the files in there. And you can also, what is quite important here is this package.json file. It's basically listing all the dependencies of this entire project. And you can see that he's, here, for example, in dependency, he is listing Three, which is with Three.js, which it is based on, like I said. He has with IWSDK core, and maybe what's in the development dependencies, which is just for the development server interesting, is this White, which is actually just a service which helps you to host your application locally. And it's also giving you the opportunity to use the certificate so that instead of HTTP, which is not secure, you can also locally use HTTPS, which is a self-certified certificate. And right now, all these dependencies are not installed because we've said no in the setup. So if we are now here in the terminal in this project, we could say npm install, and you would install all these dependencies from the package.json into our project. And that just will take some seconds here now. Exactly. And now you can see he also created a new folder here, which is the Node modules folder. So for each new package he is installing, he will put it here as a dependency in the modules, which you can just add and delete. Actually, there's a lot of dependencies, like you see. There's also some dependency on the WebXR, for example. Yeah, that's how it's working. In theory, you can now also install with npm install any other package. If you put here behind the package name, for example, you can go to npm and search for any package you want to use, something they really have a variety of things. Quite famous is this mongoose package, which enables you to use a database, the MongoDB at the backend. So you have a really easy way also to set up now your application with a backend, with a database, and storing data in there in really a couple of minutes. And yeah, so you saw we installed now with Node modules or the dependencies. And the only thing which is left now, we will go into the other files later, is we need to just start the server. For that, we say npm run dev for running the development server. And we just wait a bit. And you can see my browser is opening automatically. And yeah, here's like a small button for entering the XR mode. And it's not working. In theory, I should be able now to move in there. Maybe I created one of the wrong flags before I take too much time. I would just reinstall a new version. So npm create at IWSDK at latest. And I would just create a new project class because I don't know what I was setting wrong. Test per TypeScript, virtuality, optional hand tracking, optional WebXR layers, enable locomotion, and enable grabbing, no physics, and you see it's quite fast. Even if there was a problem now, I can set it up in some seconds again. So now we even have here already our second Web SDK project. I will click into the test2 folder. Online is through. Into the test2 folder and restart also the dependencies again. And let's see if it now works at the second try. It would have now worked, for example, in the MetaQuest, but if you don't, I think it was with WebXR layers. If I put this maybe to required, which I did maybe before, then I have this problem that I can't use the simulator in the web browser. So you see, I already set up the second project. It's running in the browser now, and I tried again, and it's working. So it was just this one thing which I was not setting. So you can see now you can run the application in the browser. You can have in this mode, you can move your controllers like that and use all the buttons over here. You can also press on the play button over here and actually get into this playing mode. And you can see you can move around in this environment here. And there's a little robot which is following your position and watching it here the entire time. And you can click on it, and actually it's making a small sound, which I right now don't know if you can hear it. And there's a plant which you can also move around. And that's actually how fast and simple it is. Actually, it was maybe taking less than 2 minutes to set up this project. And you can see now that there's also an IP address here for the local network. So I can not just open this application locally on my web browser, but also my MetaQuest. That's what I would do now. So what I would do first is sharing my MetaQuest view with you. And exactly, give you one second to start the streaming. So now my view should stream here, exactly. And you see, I have now the web browser open here. And I was putting in this IP address, which I was getting here as a local IP address from the server. And I don't need to connect anything. I just need to be in the same Wi-Fi with my laptop and with my XR headset. And now I can start the VR application in here. And you can, I'm still in this editor. You can see now the application started from the web browser. I can now move with my controllers in here. And this robot is following me. And I can take this plant and throw it down here, which right now doesn't have gravity, but in theory. Okay, so that would be the first step. You can run it on both devices. And now I would like to show a bit more about the project structure itself. I also added 3 slides here. So we maybe just look shortly into it here. So there's some folders here. It's the source folders with all your code inside. There's a user interface folder, which is extra for this user interface, UI, KIT, files, and a public folder, which is actually a folder for static files, assets you want to use in your application. For example, audio files, 3D models, textures, and other things. And we package JSON with the dependencies I already showed you. And then there's some other small files in there. I'll show you this now more in detail here in the project. So we will start actually down here in the main folder. Additional to the package file with the dependencies, we also have the index file, which is basically just a usual HTML page, usual website, which you already know. What is interesting here, it's pointing to one of the files in the source folder, the index TypeScript file, and it's loading a script from there. So that's actually our start point for our application. And it has the container, which is the scene container, which will be the container we can load our scene into later. And if you now watch here into this index TypeScript file, you see there's a lot of imports of dependencies for this script. There's an extra import for the robot system, which is the system for the entity component systems. And you have some panel for the graphical user interface and other dependencies. Then what is interesting is that if you want to add any asset, audio files, etc., you can make it with the asset manifest. Here's already some files inside, so you just would need to add some things on top here if you want to have additional models, for example. And then basically you need to create a world, which is this container basically for your scene. And you add the assets you was creating up here. You can say, do I want to have virtual reality or maybe, for example, augmented reality? So you would be able to also change it. We will test that later. Then you have features like hand tracking and grabbing for the plan, for example. And that's like all the things you need to have before starting the scene. And if the scene is starting, you basically create a camera. You usually don't need to change anything at this point because that's just the standard camera for the VR environment. And then the scene is actually added using this GLTF loader, which you can also do with a spatial editor if you would have installed that before. And you can see all the different setup of a scene in here. What is maybe interesting to see is as well the robot, which is here. So it's basically loading the mesh of the robot from the model file. And he's setting a position, scaling it, and adding it then to the world. So the mesh, he makes it interactable so that we can have interaction with them. That will be more defined at the robot itself. We can add robot resources and actually a sound, because that's the sound which will be played if you press on the robot. And then there's other components like the user interface. And what is just important to mention here is as soon as you put in any systems, then you need to add these systems also or register this at the end of the world definition, just to not forget that. Because if you don't add it, it's not part of the world and will not work. And just to show what the system can look like, for example, we can also take the robot as an example here. And what you can see is it's creating one of these systems, which is the standard way of doing that. It's basically having this component additional. So we can use this robot in here, and that's also what he will reference here in the script. So each system can have an initialization part, which will be started one time in the beginning when you open the application, which here is like just setting up some variables or adding events to it. So for example, if your robot get clicked, then it's subscribing to the qualify event, and then basically plays sound, which we defined actually over here in the audio source. And then this update will be run in every new frame update. And you can see here, for example, that there's an extra way to run not just through the one robot, which is existing in the scene. It's actually querying for all of the robots and running it for each of them. And basically, if you now would put more than one robot in the scene, they will all at the same time be actualized and follow the view with looking at you. Exactly. And that's basically how you can define components, your own components, for example, as well. And you can also create systems which you then can reference in these teams. And I just created additional an example for that, how it would look like if you um, create your own system as well. So here's one more overview about this ECS architecture. So basically, there's these entities, which is like something like you maybe know as game objects from other engines, for example. And these game objects or entities can have different components. Basic ones are responsible for repositioning, rerotation, etc. But they can be also some for having a mesh and or having your own type of properties. And the systems basically are there for um, orchestrating the communication between these components as well as between the different entities. And yeah, now I just wanted to show you how you could, in theory, also make your own custom system. Here you can see that I just made a simple one where you're having can have two cubes, and if they touch each other, one is disappearing. So for that, I have this example project which I already set up here. It's the custom system project, and I also just go into it. I first show you how it looks like. So for that, I run again npm run dev, and you see it's just running and opening. I can also play this in the simulator now again. So I have the green cube. I can touch the red one with it and it will disappear. Yeah, on the meta quest, it will just look the same right now. We will just change maybe also some parts, and then we can watch it in the meta quest one time. So what did I do in this project? I basically created a new system, which is with cube. It's in this cube file. So I created a new component for the cube and an extra system for the cube. And I didn't initialize that. So the system itself can always have two different boxes, box A and B, and checks for active collisions between these cubes. And at the update, he's just asking for if there's collisions detected, which is actually here an extra function I was putting over here. And he's basically going through all the different cubes existing in the scene. And he checks if he was already comparing them. And then he's just going through all the different cubes and compares them to all of the other cubes. And if they are actually touching each other here, then it would trigger to have an active collision. And if there is an active collision, he will try to destroy one of the cubes, which you would see here, for example. Or there is also, in case of an error, he will try to destroy the other one. And it, it's not completely about the code itself. Just like that's how you would, in theory, create a new custom system. What I basically was doing, I was copying this robot. I cut out what was in here and just added some functions on top of that. And yeah, if we want to test it out on MetaQuest, it will maybe be nice to also try how this augmented reality, for example, would work. For this, I go into the main world, which is the index. No, I don't want to change that. I would go into the main world, and for example, I will change the setting here at the beginning, the session mode of the world, from immersive VR to immersive augmented reality. And that's it. Now, instead of VR, we have in theory directly augmented reality. That's how easy it is. Now, just like in the Spatial SDK, where you have the skybox in the background, we also now have still this scene in the background with the desk and the floor. So we also need to deactivate that so that it doesn't look weird. And for that, we just need to take out this part of the code where he's putting this environment with the desk. And it goes under here where this static environment is going. And then we just save it. And we can also watch in the browser one more time. And okay, that's a browser problem. Yes, there you can see here, we can still use the simulator, but first tree will fall down because there's no collision. And the second is we see the background just with white because there's no patch through on our laptop itself. So we would just put on our headset again, and I will share my view one more time with you. It will be here. I just need to start the streaming one more time. And now you can see what I see. And yeah, I just have this web browser with my local IP address of my laptop, where the application is running on the server right now. I start the application, and you see I have this augmented reality view, and I also have my cubes again. I will just run around a bit because I need to. You see these cubes, also this nice user interface over there, the picture. And basically what I now can do, I will take this cube, I will go, okay, I take this cube and touch the other cube and it's disappearing. So yeah, that's how easy you can transfer from developing in VR into augmented reality with the IWSDK. And yes, that's everything I wanted to show you today. It's really easy to get started. It's also can definitely get complicated maybe at some intermediate step, but Yeah, depending on what exactly you want to develop, it can be also giving you so much advantage. For example, being able to use all the NPM packages, for example, out there, having this native web basically available, which has already several decades of experience, let's say, like which you can profit from. Yeah, it's a great thing.